accepted, challenge accepted. The attitude is always challenge accepted. Challenge accepted, challenge accepted. The attitude is always challenge accepted.
Now, let's introduce Alexey, the driving force behind the front-end division of Devexperts, who leads a team of over 60 talented individuals.
But here is where it gets interesting. Alexey is not just about code, he's all about connecting and communicating.
And also, Alexey knows how to savor life's favors. He's a man of many hobbies: music playing, cycling, hiking, dancing, marathoning, jogging, and everything else.
Today, Alexey is going to tell us how to make an NPM library.
What is NPM?
No problem, mate.
Navigating past mistakes?
No need pizza, maybe.
Nutty peanut mix?
Noodle preparation mode.
Ne presulevai mangiatel.
Okay.
But let's hear what is NPM from the man himself. Please welcome Alexey Matveev!
Challenge accepted, challenge accepted. The attitude is always challenge accepted. Challenge accepted, challenge accepted. The attitude is always challenge accepted.
Do I have a clicker somewhere? Clicker. Should be somewhere here. I want to switch the slides. Yeah? Please bring it back. Yeah, I stole it. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, let's check that it works. Oops, it doesn't. Okay, I need to allow it. All right. Everything is about security today. Yeah? No? Okay. Oops. Do I need to do something? I mean, I connected HDMI, but still, it's not working.
This is a demo for QA challenge accepted for tomorrow.
Yeah. It's just a challenge for them.
Did you plug the stick in the computer?
Yes, it's over here. So HDMI is over here.
The USB stick from the speaker.
Yes, I did. But I mean, I see my screen here, but it's not here. That's the problem. Okay. All right, we need some more time, guys. Maybe I need to, yeah, I think it's another screen, right? So I need to just bring my presentation to the screen. Oh yeah, here it is. Nice. It's appearing. Thank you. Every day you learn something new, right?
Me too.
Yeah, let's click. All right, we're doing this. Thank you very much.
And please applause.
And now let's check the clicker. It's almost there. Yeah, it's still not working. But maybe I need to, okay. I guess it's not working, but I was just collecting my computer, so no problems. So hello once again. Hello, everybody. It's so nice to be here. First time in Sofia in Bulgaria, actually. And you know, I have this strange feeling when you come to a new city, but you still see the same IT guys, the same developers. It's, I don't know, it's just something very special because it feels like a family. So we had a lot of talks about front-end today, and I enjoyed these performance, the APIs by Nicola. It's really nice. It matches my presentation a little bit. And thanks a lot to Harry. I know when I'm asking questions on interviews about caching, I actually understand that I don't know anything about caching right now. So this would be for front-end, but not only. Let's make a quick audience check. How many of you are front-end developers? Can you raise your hands? Okay, we have something like 30%. And who knows nothing about, or at least, not into front-end development? Do we have such people? A couple of them. Okay. So for you guys, there would also be some material. It's pretty, even it says NPM library. It's not only about front-end, and in general, it's more high-level. So I hope everybody will learn something from it. So how to create a library, right? Here is a quick tutorial. You create a folder, then you NPM init some repository, you create your awesome script, and then you publish it to some repository. And there we go. So thank you very much. I guess I'll see you in 1 year. But actually, in this case, nobody would find it, right? We don't find libraries that are somewhere in this place. According to Einstein's theory, there are some heavy objects in the universe, and definitely your library would be one of the candidates of this most heaviest object in the universe. But I actually like to do this. I encourage you to create projects, small projects that have no chance, and each little failure brings you to a success eventually. So in my career, I created a lot of these libraries, and I did this in both front-end and back-end. Yes, right now I'm doing more managerial stuff in my career, but in my heart, I'm always a developer, and I like to encourage people to create these little failures because they bring us to success eventually. And last year, I was fortunate enough to create a couple of libraries inside my company, and I'm just going to share my experience with you today. I would like to start with a question. Can you imagine some good piece of software that you ever wrote, or used, rather, in your life? And what's the good property of the library? Can you tell me? You can speak out loud. What's the good property? Yeah, just say everybody. Uniqueness, okay. Popular, okay. What else? Sorry? Documentation, nice. What else? What's a good library? Yes. Easy to work with, good. Sorry? Solve the problem, right. Yeah, thank you very much, colleagues. That's exactly what you can see on the slide. I'm very glad that we have the same kind of values when we're using something. And if you're gonna just put it in one word, it helps, right? Libraries, they do help. jQuery helped with this cross-browser hell that we had like 10 years ago, and they did it really good. Then we had React that helped with ineffective DOM operations, and it really helped. We don't need to care about that. Then we have something like, I don't know, Mustache, the templating engine. It helps to generate you nice templates. So if you're going to put it in one word, it helps. So maybe if we're going to define some goal, like what we want to do with libraries, I would say we need to help ourselves, developers, to do some things more efficient. Regarding the goal, Arnold Schwarzenegger, you know the guy, he once said that in order to achieve success, you need to define a goal. And he was a politician, he was a bodybuilder, right? He was an extraordinary person. And he said that it is so easy to do something, to know what you should do next, when you can see clearly where you're going, when you see the goal. So a good goal, we can put different goals, right? A good goal would always target the client. And in this case, the clients, it's ourselves, it's not business. It's very different in this sense, because we're writing development to development experience. Let's take an example. So this is a pretty common goal that developers put in the companies. Let's centralize all common code in one place. Yeah, why not? We will just have a library of common shared code. Do you think it's a good goal? Do you think it's a good goal? Somebody? Yes? Yes? No? You don't know? Okay. Actually, that's not a very good goal, because it does not have anything to do with the clients, with the developers. And the very easy way to check that is to ask one question: why? Why should we centralize all common code in one place? And one senior developer may say, well, because we have a lot of common code, let's put it in one place. It would be easier to use. While the other one would say, well, we'll leave it before that, and it worked, so why should we start doing it? And the answers are not that important here. What's important that there is some communication. Yeah, it's a valid question. Why should we do that? If we didn't do this before, why should we start doing that? And if we're going to put it in another way, using this magical word, help, it sounds like we want to help developers to reuse logic and business in their projects easily. And in this case, the first one seems like not a goal, but rather a solution. Because another solution to this goal, to help developers, can be something like, okay, let's do some technical minutes. Let's do some experience sharing sessions. That would also help us to do this. And what's importantly, when you ask why should I help developers to do this? It kind of sounds absurd, right? Why should I do that? Well, because I like to help people. That's something I should do. So I suggest you to start your goals with this magic keyword help. And in today's speech, I want to help developers to reach some expectations that we put on the libraries that you guys all mentioned. I created a list of 4 of these expectations today that I'm going to focus. So I will talk about quick start, work as expected, recognizable API, and the community support. So, quick start. It's surprising how fast can people fall in love with each other. You need like a split second, and you already have some connection. So according to some researchers, it takes how many? 3 seconds for a woman to know? How many times do you think it takes a developer to know that he likes a library? Yeah, that's a good question. I don't have an answer, but I know for sure what makes this impression. The first page of the documentation. So take a look. This is documentation of Moment.js, and what's cool about it is that on the very first page, you already have everything you need. You only need one page. You have the links to download it. You have also the instructions how to install it with different package managers. And you have examples of the source code, and you have the result, which is dynamically updating with each second. So it's kind of very cool. It makes such an expression that it's very easy to use, even for those who don't know what Moment.js is. Another example is Flowdash. This is a library for some functional programming styles. And once again, there is little to no text over here, but very easily you can see what this thing is doing. It's some functions with some results. So you're very fast to start. And you may say, okay, these are simple libraries. What about some complex things? Well, this is one of my favorites. 10 years before, who was programming in Angular 1? Can you raise your hands? 1 person, 2, 3, 4. Okay, thank you. This made such an expression that I never reached, except the first page of the Angular.js, I never go to any other documentation. Because it is interactive, it has these very fast results page, and if you hover over these different elements, it shows you what it is doing. So it was very nice. And let's be honest, documentation is a thing that we never spend some time. Yeah? I'm not going to even ask who would like to write some documentation. That's why there is no right time. But it makes this first impression that is very important when it comes to libraries. And if we're not good writers, maybe we shouldn't do it. Maybe we can generate it. Today we have a lot of tools to do that. Copilot, GPT, you can just select all your functions and generate some feasible code out of it, some piece of advice. There are some TypeScript API generator tools, GSDocs, which is the same as JavaDocs, if some of you know Java. And you can generate a big portion of your code. We also mentioned OpenAPI, Swagger today. This is also a specification that can be generated. So don't write it manually. You can generate it. And nobody likes slides like this one. They're very boring. So instead of writing some text, maybe consider visualizing it as much as possible. I can recommend this tool. Who knows this tool? Mermaid? 1, 2, okay, then it would be useful for you. So that's code to a diagram tool. You can write this code, and then you have these beautiful diagram out of it. For those who don't like to, visualize things, you can just write code, and it's very nice. It is actually supported by a lot of Markdown viewers nowadays. It is supported natively in GitHub, and Obsidian, one of my best Markdown editor, also supports it. So check it out. And how do we know that the documentation is good, that our users actually like it? Well, you simply ask. And we can use this user experience tool called hallway testing. So it works very easy. You just go to the hallway, to your colleagues, and you show them your stuff, and you ask to do some simple business scenario. For example, create an account. And while they're trying to create an account, you can just take a look what they're doing. And they would have some problems. They would have some problems, and some things that you think are obvious would not be obvious to the people. So you write them down, you collect these various opinions, and now you know what you need to change in order to involve your developers even better so they can have even quicker start. So that's how you meet the quick start expectation. And it's, by the way, the 20th item in the Joel test, how to code better, so you might check in Google the other 11. When we're Googling for libraries, right, what we want to see, we are searching for some specific things. Like, I want a thing that is doing something with the dates, like Moment.js, or I want a framework for the UI. So work as expected is kind of two things for me. First of all, when you're developing something, it should have single responsibility. So you have this focus on one simple thing that developers can Google, and they can easily find it. That is very important. The other thing, work as expected, means that the thing simply works. So it works without errors. It both compiles and it runs. Yeah? Isn't that obvious? But let's take a look at this code. I hope you guys can see it well. Take a look at, these are just code examples, not specifically from one language. Do you think it will work? Just a very simple question. Do you think it will work? It looks valid. Yeah? So it looks valid, but actually the first line would not work on macOS because it has this backward slash. Right? That's very, very tricky, but it won't. The second one would work in Yarn, but it won't work in NPM. In NPM, there is another thing called overrides. So resolutions is only for Yarn. And the third line would work in both the browsers and Node.js, but for Node.js, only a version 18, not before, because it was introduced in version 18. So what I mean here is that working with code, we are kind of in various environments when we deliver this code. And there is a common fallacy that you all know, is that if it works on my machine, then it works, right? Well, it doesn't. It doesn't obviously work. And we have these different things, like package managers. We have workspaces with a lot of problems with the transient dependencies and hoisting. We have monorepository tools. We have different bundlers, Node and TypeScript versions, and of course, operating systems. And when your user is going to install your stuff, they would expect these things to work. But have you tested it? You don't know. I would specifically pay attention to these tools, these things. Does anybody have problems with the modular systems in JavaScript? Can you raise your hands? Please. Oh, 1, 2. Thank you. Thank you, guys. I'm so glad to see that somebody else experienced this pain. I mean, ECMAScript modules were released in 2016, and since then we had these use ESM whenever possible. But I was actually really surprised. Recently, I tried to write a loader for Webpack, and you know Webpack. That's a pretty popular bundler nowadays, but it's not possible in ESM. So I was trying to write a loader in ESM, and it's not working. You need to still write it in CommonJS. So since not everybody is working on the bleeding edge technologies, we need to still support some old stuff. So maybe a good idea is to create both versions of your scripts. And if you go to package.json and just made this little configuration, then you make it easier for the host users to find these two scripts. And how can you test it? So what I'm usually recommend is to create some blank projects with blank projects in Code Sandbox or in your repository. As you can see, they're not completely blank, and they have these little objects inside with some bundler configurations or the TypeScript, Node.js, and then you simply see whether your stuff can be installed there, whether it compiles and runs, and that's how you can cover this 80–90% of users that are going to use them in different environments. You can do it in advance, and that's how you can meet this work as expected expectation. Recognizable API is another expectation. So what this recognizable means? Take a look at the picture. I think it takes you like 3 to 5 seconds to see the pattern, and that it's not only the island, but also some human face. Yeah? Do you see it? You see it? Everybody see it? Yeah, nice. It's very interesting how our brain can define these patterns, and especially faces. It's actually an evolutionary mechanism that we can see people and distinguish them between each other, because we need to understand who is our friend and who is our foe. Do I need to run, or do I need to stay and communicate? And we want the same thing with API, because the brain is very lazy. People don't like learning new things. They like when the brain matches some pattern that they already know. So when it comes to API, I recommend you to not force something that is uncommon. We already had a speech today about Web API. That's an example of that. It is common, and I remember Nicola was telling about that you should use common API as much as possible. So that's an example of it. CSS and JS, very cool tool, but not everybody like it. If you want to use CSS and JS, you put it inside your library as a black box, but on the outside, use basic CSS, because not everybody might like it. The same with the Rix.js. When you have a Rix.js or any other unusual API, I tried doing that to expose observe and subscribe functions, but other developers, they just didn't like it. So in the end, we decided to switch to the callbacks. So don't force on common API. Stick as long as you can to the web standards, which I like to see as some sort of pyramid. So we have ECMAScript at the very base, which everybody knows. And then on top of it, we have browser API, and we have Node.js API, different things. But take a look how both of them still use ECMAScript, right? So you kind of keep piling up this API pyramid. And then for each of them, you have kind of more stuff. Then we have React developers, some Webpack and Express, different things. And if you're going to write some library with the common code, let's say you want to write a hook, be aware that your users would be restricted to this API pyramid. And people who work with Node.js would not understand how it works. Of course, if it's hook and it's applicable only for React, then it's a good idea. But if it's something common, reconsider using the basic ECMAScript and web standards. And that's how you can make your API recognizable. But speaking about API, I cannot mention this common problem. Semantic versioning is something that is very cool about the JavaScript community, and I think a lot of ecosystems can learn from it. But it has this problem that it has a human factor. And if you change the API, then you should upgrade the major version. But not many people do that because they want to use it as for marketing reasons. Yeah, they want 5.0.0, yay, with version 5, very cool. Take a look at this presentation. It explains it way better than I will. But in short, the version numbers are for computers, and the version names, like macOS Sierra, macOS Ventura, something like that, they're for humans. But about numbers, just reduce this human factor. And if you want to reduce it even further, you can use conventional commits. Who knows what's conventional commits? Who used that? Oh, actually, quite a few people. Thank you. I'm actually impressed not to see it everywhere. So how it works? You just create this little tags to your commit messages, and then you can distinguish whether it's a feature, it's a bug, or something else. And that's how, when you do a release, you can understand which version to increase, so you can do it automatically. But let's be honest, this conventional commits doesn't reduce the human factor, right? Because the developer can still screw up writing these commit messages. And I want to give you the mental exercise. Can we create such a tool which would automatically understand that there is a breaking change in a pull request? Think about it, and let's discuss after the presentation. And the last expectation for you today is the community support. We all expect other people to use this tool and to be able to talk with somebody. But this one is maybe the hardest to achieve, because you need to build it piece by piece, starting with your friends and with your colleagues. You cannot automatically make people fall in love with whatever you do. You need to find allies. And finding allies is hard, because what's obvious for you, like my idea is super cool, it is not obvious for the others. So what you need to do is to sell this idea to other people. And the way I think about it is that everyone has a personal benefit. So when I ask you, let's do a project together, what is the first thought? Yeah, imagine I'm just coming, hey, let's do some project together. What would you say? Well, you might ask me what the project is about, what should I do, and actually, who are you? I'm seeing you the first time in my life, stuff like that. So we have this resistance, right? Actually, all information that we gather from outside world, we can distinguish into different categories. It could be either safe or dangerous. If we don't know this guy, he might be dangerous. We also say that it could be useful for us, or it's useless. And something can be passive, which requires no action, or it is active. We need to do something. So imagine some wild animal approaching you. Wild cat, I don't know. It's dangerous, right? It's a wild animal. It's probably useless, and you need to do something. You need to run, or you need to stay and fight. So you don't want that when you speak with people. You want the opposite. You want the information to be presented in a safe, useful for them, and in a passive way. So instead of asking, would you like to start a new project with me, you can ask something like, hey, I have an interesting idea. It could be useful for you. I think you can learn how to contribute to open source and learn some other new stuff. And you know, no action is required right now. Let me just present my idea, and maybe then you can think about it. And if you say no, it's absolutely fine for me. If you present an information in such a way, then people would more likely to go towards you and maybe contribute and commit themselves for some further actions. And that's how you find your first allies and partners. And with them, you will start to building the community. But the community requires some artifacts, some place to discuss things. So make a channel, issue some news updates, and of course, write some contribution guide. So when the new people come, they already know what to do, how can I contribute, what's the culture here. The way I like to do it, I just post some updates like this from time to time, and then I collect these little emojis. It really motivates me and the people that, hey, we're actually doing something here. It's not dead. Let's continue doing it. Let's keep the ball rolling. Another hint for you, how to increase the community involvement, is something called early access. Do you have people who like computer games? Yeah? Oh, a lot of people. Nice. Do you know Steam? Yeah? So in Steam, there is this concept of early access. In a nutshell, it's when you can buy a game that is not finished yet. Why the hell would I buy a game that is not finished yet? It sounds stupid. Well, because it allows you to participate in development of this game. It allows you to request a new item, or maybe a new race or game mechanics, so it's really fun. And it also allows you to increase the priority of the features that you ask for. This concept is actually used in business as well. When you request a feature that you can put in the priority of the product backlog, if you ask a product company. And we can use that in the library development. Because if you show people something like this, yeah, it seems like a nice product, but first of all, I was not participating in the development of this product, and secondly, I don't see what was before this. So instead of showing this, show them this. Yeah? Show the evolution. And when they see some steps, some micro steps, micro changes, they really start connecting themselves with your product and feel like they're a part of it. So, how to create a library? I know I spent like 20 minutes explaining that, but you start with some fun coding experiments. Don't be afraid of doing these little tasks, and don't be afraid of a failure, because it's just another step to success. And then you formulate a goal in such a way that it should help other people, other developers. And you meet their expectations, something like it could be started quickly, it's also recognizable as an API, it works, and you make sure that it works, and then you build such a community in which this library can be extended even further, and maybe with good partnership, you can do even something better out of it. Thank you very much. This is a link to the presentation. If you want the slide, just check it out. And yeah, I would be as well in the speaker's corner, so if you have some questions, don't hesitate.
Yes, so thank you very much, and please applaud Alexey Matveev!
Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. Challenge accepted. Reality is always challenge accepted.
Everybody knows?